The restaurant industry is really concerned this evening. They say they just simply won't survive any more restrictions. To discuss this now, I'm joined by Wendy Alberts, the CEO of the Restaurant Association of South Africa. Wendy, we always have these chats before and after the President speaks. I wonder, have you heard anything via the grapevine about what is likely to happen this evening?
Lots of noise currently coming through the various divisions. Open lines of communication are definitely there. Conversations about the possibility of liquor bans, curfew restrictions, etc. You know, we try not to listen to the noise. We certainly have sent off all our necessary proposals and what we feel the industry can do to leverage off this next step and to obviously play our contribution in keeping the people safe in our establishments and also working through the third wave. You know, it's imperative that we do everything we can to show complete compliance with government. We're in support of the initiatives that they are currently working through. And we certainly are looking at every avenue that we can to keep our doors open afloat. You know, we certainly don't want to be finding ourselves standing outside the union buildings like we did in January, fighting for reprieve again. So we certainly hope that government has heard our pleas, that they understand that our businesses are based on integrity, that we are tax compliant, that we're contributors to the GDP, and we're doing everything we can to trade through the next couple of months in its difficult times. We're anticipating there will be some degree of curfew restrictions, and we're hoping that we'll be able to continue with our dinner time trade and continue to serve alcohol as usual.
All right, so curfew is now at 11. If it's pulled down to 10, does that affect your trade significantly, or are you still able to feed your patrons and get your staff home in time?
Look, one of the key things, and I think South Africa has known this through the levels of COVID, we do everything we can, obviously, to put the safety of our staff and the patrons at the highest degree. We'll continue to advocate that. It is a bit tricky operationally for us to continue to trade up until 10 o'clock. It has a massive impact on us. Our dinner time trade is 70% of our overall turnover. And at this point in time, again, we are going to be trading at restricted turnovers with 100% capacity to paying our operational costs. This has massive impact on us because the landlords aren't amenable to come into the party with reduced rentals yet again. You know, we're trying to talk to all the large landowners. They are not interested in putting together plans. All they want to do is offer more loans. We're not in a position to take on any more loans. We need reprieve. We need to have an understanding and a co-work relationship where we can move through the different stages of lockdown. You know, a year we find ourselves back on the doorstep of level 2, level 3. Where are we? There's going to be further restrictions putting on the industry, and we need to find ways that we can cohesively work together that is manageable in keeping the business afloat and keeping our industry afloat.
You know, Wendy, one of my routes home goes past a very busy restaurant street here in Johannesburg. And I have to say, I have noticed in the last 2 to 3 weeks, it's looking significantly quieter. Are your restaurants telling you that already trade is down?
Absolutely. You know, what we do see is a cycle, you know, when the conversations and communications open up to the third wave. We've been having these messages being put out there. I think the public in its own interest start getting nervous. I think, you know, we're now a year into COVID. We know what the responsible behaviour is that each one of us needs to put together to keep each other safe. So we certainly do see already the winter months are coming in. People start slowing down. But, you know, without alcohol, we don't have a proper service, and we need to keep dinner time service afloat. We need to keep our businesses afloat, and that's why we keep calling to say, please talk to us. You know, we have been compliant. We've shown every degree of advocacy. We certainly are here to put the protocols. In the last month, we've upped our communication, ensured that our restaurants start upping their levels of sanitization and keeping their restaurants and staff and patrons safe. We put these communication blogs out there to say, please, we need to adhere to it. We ask the public to support the initiatives that are out there. And it becomes very, very complicated when the pressure is put on us and we feel that we're the only industry ever that gets hit by the hard lockdowns. You know, nobody else goes through a transformation or reformates their businesses. It is always us that's left to remodel our businesses and look for resources outside of our industry to keep our businesses afloat. You know, we've chatted to government. We're in support of it. We are deeply respectful of the leadership of the country. And, you know, we are no COVID experts, but what we do know through a year down lockdown is that we are a controlled space. We are custodians of liquor licenses. We are able to execute responsible drinking. We are able to administer alcohol to people that we feel can comfortably enjoy that alcoholic beverage in our space in association with food. We are not the uncontrolled spaces. We are not illicit trade. We are not doing underground elements to bring a third or a fourth wave or to be a super spreader. So we are certainly doing everything we can to keep our business afloat. We felt hardship at every level in January, and we certainly don't want to be back there now again.
I'm sure. One thing I have noticed more and more in the past year is little motorbikes buzzing around many neighbourhoods. I think the home delivery service is really booming. To what extent is that helping the restaurant business when these curfews come into force? What percentage of restaurant retail is it at the moment? Is it possible to say?
It's been an ever-growing industry since lockdown. What we certainly have seen is that there is a huge degree of emphasis being put onto the upliftment of the delivery service motorbikes. You know, what we have found is we don't want the food chain to be compromised in any which way, from leaving the restaurant right through to getting home delivery. We're also trying to ensure that they get a fair and proper wage, that they are treated with respect and responsibility, and that they can also be good advocates for compliance and safety in getting the food to people's homes. So we are certainly tackling and challenging this third-party delivery space. We're looking at bringing in better opportunities. There are a lot more players that's come into the market. There certainly is a lot more applications that people are using to do home orders. The restaurants are doing self-delivery. So it has become a massive part of the industry. But it's still a small fraction of what we do for our experiences. South Africans love coming into our restaurants. They love getting home away from home. They love the enjoyment. We have become lazy in cooking for ourselves. And we certainly are looking at building new types of menus where people are very, very comfortable in getting into our businesses. So, you know, I think we're still en route. People are happy to come in and pick up their meal. People are certainly open to coming into our restaurants, and those people who don't feel that they're very high risk still claim that we are South Africa's most loved industry.
Yeah.
And, you know, there is a lot of heartfelt emotion for those iconic restaurants that have been lost around the tourism belt in South Africa.
It's so very true. I mean, there are names that are just no longer there. Very quickly, Wendy, if I had to ask you in 20 seconds, what do you realistically think is going to be announced today and tonight? What is your best guess?
I think if we typically look at history, you know, we do have a new Minister of Health, Acting Minister of Health. So it's going to be interesting what will come from that. I think that we'll see probably level 3 advance, potentially a tighter curfew, and the same liquor restrictions as we had before, restaurants continuing to trade as usual with alcohol. And then obviously, I think the great challenge will be with Ofcon and what that restriction will bring.